All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another match for you. It is none other than Liquid Zenio up against Gumiho from FXO. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what these players are up to. In the top right-hand corner, we have Liquid Zenio as the green Zerg. Top left-hand corner, we have Gumiho as the red Zerg. And this is a ZVT on Artifice.
And it's going to be a pretty interesting one. I love this matchup. I have to say, though, that Zenio lately, he struggles a little bit against Terran. The last 3 games that he played against Terran players, he lost all of them. He lost to Marine King at the IGN Pro League. We have him with a loss against Jakji in one of the FXO tournaments. And he lost to Kaz at the IEM in Kiev. So he is not all that comfortable probably against Gumiho right now. So a very nice pick for FXO, and Gumiho on the other hand with a very decent record against Zerg. And I think that the map is actually a very, very good map for Terran against Zerg as well, but we'll see about that. Definitely we are in for a treat, Gretorp.
Oh, for sure. Now, this map is a little bit interesting TVZ, especially when they're in close positions. It operates much like Tal'Dorei Malter, with, I think, Terran a little bit favored in these close positions, but cross positions will favor Zerg quite a bit. Of course, Zerg always love their space. They always love to just play that reactive style, so they want to just mass up, get as many expansions, and then start engaging. So having these close positions, it'll be up to Gumiho, I believe, for him to actually take it to his opponent in this early game stage, whether it be 2-base or 3-base pushes. That's what he really needs to head for. And all Zenio wants to do at this point, or not at this point, but at that mid-game, early end game, I guess, he just wants to be surviving. If he can survive and just push it to end game, it's going to be a lot harder for his opponent to go cross-map, harass his expansions, and obviously take expansions for himself.
The one thing that you can do when you're a Terran player on this map, you can decide whether you want to expand away from your opponent, or you can also just try to establish a planetary fortress in the middle between the 2 bases and rely on a siege tank and marine combination and start to put a lot of pressure from the position with the planetary fortress onto the natural expansion of your opponent. So a lot of options for Gumiho right now, and Zenio is doing exactly what we expect him to do. He's going for the hatch first, which is kind of a given right now against Terran. We have him with gas already, building the spawning pool, and the most interesting thing to me is going to be what exactly Gumiho decides to do in the early stages of the game. So far it looks like he is going for the reactor factory Hellions once again, and we'll start with an expansion. We're still waiting for the reactor to being built. Now he has enough gas, and there it is.
And this is probably the most standard build you could possibly see. In Zenio's side, I believe he should be taking off gas pretty soon, but no, he's going to go above 100. There he goes. So Zenio just a little bit late in that, but not going to be too big of a deal. He's going to get that 100 gas. Obviously, to get that metabolic boost, it's a big map, so you want to have your Zerglings very relevant in this early game stage. You want to force your opponent back as much as possible, especially for those Hellions. If you can catch those Hellions off guard and out of position, get a good surround, all of a sudden you're in a great position taking off into mid-game.
With the natural being constructed as it is, I would love to see exactly what Zenio does right now. I love it. He's going for the creep tumor first before he starts using this energy for the inject. And this is just so important. The Hellions will be able to shut down further an additional creep spread. So Zenio has to make sure that he's at least able to spread the creep towards the rocks so that he can use the bottleneck position to either SimCity or at least position a couple of units that will be able to block or damage the Hellions. So a very, very great decision for Zenio in the early stages of this game, using the energy for the creep tumor and just neglecting the injects for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I think that's actually my favorite play, honestly, just because this is a big map, but in any map, I want to say, you want to get that creep spread out as far as possible, and you want these Hellions to do the least possible damage, because if you have that creep spread, now all of a sudden, it's not just mutas that I can go. I can potentially go something like Zergling Roach. That's definitely a very strong opening. You know, it's a very strong line, so it just enables me to do that because I have that good creep spread, because I am able to move around all around the place, whether it be my third, etc. And look at the build that we have coming out from Gumiho. This is quite interesting.
Yeah, Gumiho now with his command center at the bottom, and in his main base he already has the starport, so he did cut a couple of corners. He didn't try to establish his base with or secure it with too many buildings. We don't have a bunker, we don't have too many Hellions. 4, that's kind of the standard. He's not getting any aggressive with it. He's already going for the medivacs, so he's playing it a little bit risky. He wouldn't be in any position if Zenyo would have actually decided to go for some kind of Baneling and Roach attack, but the Zerg player doesn't, so Gumiho is safe and he can capitalize on cutting a couple of corners, so that's pretty nice.
For sure. The medevac is going to pop right now, and what does he actually do? He's going to load up a lot of Marines, so we're going to probably see some sort of elevator tactics. Is Zenio ready? That's the big question. Lair is on the way. We're probably going to see a lot of extractors go down. There it is. All 3 of them. In total, we should get a 4th one pretty soon, most likely. But I highly doubt this drop will do any damage, seeing out the queen count is pretty high at this point. It can easily just start sniping down that medevac, so it does virtually 0 damage.
Yeah, we have a very, very nice defense so far by Zenyo. He has creep spread in his main base as well. I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't start to spread his creep further to the right side of his main base, and that's exactly the position that Gumiho uses now to get aggressive. But there are 4 queens already trying to snipe the medivac. Job well done so far by Zenyo. Gumiho just can't do anything about it and has to retreat with his medivac. He lost all of his Marines and only the Hellions are left, so very well defended by Zenyo.
+1 is on the way. We have a Baneling nest as well. Macro hatchery is down. Now, where does he actually go from here? Probably some sort of Spire tech. That's normally what we see. Or, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, I shouldn't say normally because it has fallen out a little bit. Muta's, you know, not the too big of a style anymore ever since Stefano really showcased his strength at the IPL 3. But I shouldn't just say that at everything that he does, showing that you don't have to go to Mutas to win TVZ. But let's go ahead and look. For now, it's just Zergling Baneling.
I don't really like Mutalisks on this map, to be honest. It's just not enough dead space around the bases of the Terran player, around the starting positions. But we have another drop at the natural right now. He pulled back the drones, able to defend against the drop, didn't receive too much damage. In total, Gumiho was just able to kill 3 workers, and we have 1 SCV killed by Zenyo. But as I just said, I don't think that Mutalisks are the best choice, just because there is not enough dead space around the positions. And we have 2 additional bases for Zenyo now. He's expanding away from his opponent, taking a 3rd, taking a 4th, trying to control the map with the Zerglings. There's still 1 Viking trying to chase down Overlords, but Zenyo is going for the Spire, so you were right, he's chosen to go Mutalisks.
Yeah, and they will be delayed mutas, so the Terran will be slightly stronger. We can see 1-1 is on the way, so the mutas will probably pop when 1-1 is already finished. 2-2 is on the way. That obviously makes it very hard for those mutas to do increasing amount of damage, but we can see Gumiho is actually pushing out here. He needs to be very careful. Zergling run by. It's going to be stopped.
Very, very nice wall in, but he delays the push of his opponent a tiny little bit. Zenyo was about to be attacked by Gumiho, but the aggression of the Terran player is now negated because of the run-by attempt. The 2 additional bases for Zenyo are done. He has a very nice drone count. He's on 61 already against 55, adding more and more Zerglings and Banelings. Scans for our Terran player reveal the tumors, and he's killing every single one of them, trying to force the creep back. Really nice and very tactical game that we've seen so far.
Zenyo's just going to relax right now. 40 Zerglings are on the way. He wants to make sure. See, the thing about going Zergling Baneling in this stage, you don't want even trades. You want to actually go way ahead. That way you don't have to make more units and you can start droning. Because if it's constantly small units against small units, the medevacs are a lot stronger. So you want to be able to just crush your opponent and then go from there. It retains your larva a lot better. So that's why he waited a little bit there. But now he's going to go for it because he knows I have the army advantage. Stim goes down, but the Banelings, will they connect? Yes, they do connect on some of them. He gets just about 2.5 medevacs loaded up with those Marines, so he is good. He saved a lot.
Yeah, very, very nice pickup. We have a very, very bio-heavy Terran player right now. We have tons of barracks in the main base of Gumiho. He's just adding the second factory and is now starting to with his tanks a little bit late, but he already has everything he needs. He's going for +2/+2 attack. He has the armory. So I feel if Gumiho is on top of this, then the Mutalisk won't be able to deal any damage at all. He can just build a couple of turrets. He can go for the Thor as another option to strengthen his anti-air, and I really like what Gumiho is doing right now. He's on the third base, decent upgrades, and a lot of potential production for the Terran. Well, Zenyu is doing something that I love, replacing the active creep tumors that have just been killed by Gumiho's last scan. I really love that.
Yeah, now the mutants are starting up on these add-ons. It's really important that you actually take them out, because if you take out reactors, it's like taking out a full barracks. It cuts the production quite substantially. So you can see he was able to kill one reactor, but that's it. Probably not the best trade right there for 9 mutas, 900 gas, 900 minerals for 50 gas, 50 minerals. But these mutas will provide a lot of cover. Of course, Gumiho is a little bit out of position with everything. You can see a bunker going up all the way in this mid left-hand corner. All the mules are over there, and the mutas might actually catch all of these SCVs and mules off guard. And if he does, that's a huge chunk of income that he's going to be able to remove.
The Marines are in position now. He saw what could possibly happen to his economy and used his Marines with him in order to be there in time. Now building the missile turrets, and here comes the whole army of Zenyu. He's trying to get in with this army with the Zerglings and of course also his Mutalisks, but the Terran player for FXO, Gumiho, he is ready and he is defending his bases. We still have 4 bases for Zenyu, and he has a 5th queen. He has the creep slave just spreading the creep like crazy, and he nearly connected the 2 bases with creep already. He needs like 2 additional creep tumors in order to do it, so very well done by Zenyu. And he just slowed down every single push that could possibly be by Gumiho through his creep.
Yep. And it looks like Gumiho, he's in a tough position. I think expanding to that mid left-hand position is probably the worst option over these 2 expansions over here. You want to actually expand towards your Zerg opponent. That makes the push distances a lot more accessible. Obviously, it's actually a lot closer, so it helps you out quite a bit. I think overall, Gumiho is going to have himself a very tough endgame, because you're going to see that Zenyu will be able to situate himself, and Gumiho is basically going to say, I need a very efficient push. If he doesn't get a very efficient push, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He probably needs like the best, most superior army composition, but I don't think he's in a situation where he can actually get that ever. So
we just have the attempt of sandwiching the Terran player's forces. Gumiho needs to pay attention. Here come the Zerglings trying to cut off his way of retreat from all sides. Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutalisks are streaming in. Gumiho is in so much trouble, losing a ton of Marines, and the reinforcers are not sieged up in time. The tanks trying to take down as many Banelings as possible, but Gumiho is plumbing down in supply. The Mutalisks are now taking charge, and the Marines are gone. Both of these siege tanks are dead, and this is just a horrible blow to Gumiho's army. That was really, really well done, and Zenyu is just following up what he did before. He just seconds ago, he shut down one of the drops of his opponent. It was really, really well done at the expansion at the right side of the map. Zenyu already positioned not only a spore crawler, but 2 spine crawlers, and Gumiho was dropping right into them, lost everything, and then this attack happened. So a very, very well series of battles for Zenyu now.
Yeah, and this is a big problem with Gumiho's play, I think, overall, and you can see it actually biting him in the ass right now. The Marines are going to actually get sandwiched. A very nice cut by those Marines, and the SCVs, they're going to pay for the price. There they go down for that 4th base, and now it looks like Zenyu is going to move into just this natural. He could have moved up into the production line, but I don't think he really has enough stuff. The Zerglings will go down just to those SCVs, but you can see Gumiho getting punished severely in this endgame stage because he took the wrong expansion. Playing so passive against a Zerg on a big map like this, when they're playing super greedy, they're taking the 4th base. That was correct by Zenyu. Taking the 4th base, it's harder and harder to actually keep up with this endgame stage. And where does Gumiho actually get to expand to? He gets to expand closer.
Hold that thought. We have a drop at the bottom right. He's dropping, trying to take down this base, but the Zerglings are already in position. And I completely agree with your assessment. We have Gumiho just taking the wrong expansions. He's not putting pressure enough onto his opponent. And just look at the minimap. We have Zenio expanding everywhere on the right side of the map. He's taking expansion after expansion. He is not pressured enough. He has the Ultralus Cavern, he has Pathogen Glance, the Greater Spire. He has every single possible tech. And Gumiho is now opting for the Ghosts, but he is already down 60 supply, and his opponent has every single base that he wants to have. So a little bit of a problem. Another drop at the natural, but I don't know if that's going to be enough, Gretorp.
Yep, the Planetary Fortress is under attack here. This one Ultralisk should be able to bring it down with the help of those Mutalisks. And there it goes. No!
Oh. At the left side of the map is Zergling run by trying to take down the bunker. The SCVs not in a position where they can repair it. And a couple of SCVs die. The bunker dies as well, but the Marines in the end are able to kill the Zerglings. This is just a battle where Gumiho is defending on every single base that he has, because Zenio, he is everywhere.
Ooh, nice snipe on the spawning pool over here in the top right-hand corner.
Yep.
Drop's doing a lot of damage here. Zenio has not identified this yet because the units aren't actually being funneling over there. Finally, Zerglings are going to get over there before the Marines are actually able to take out the Baneling Nest. In the meantime, a pack of Marines are just going to be running across, but for now we have multi-pronged attacks. Zerglings from the bottom and a lot more from the top. But I think those Ultras need to just be careful.
And at the bottom right, with another drop for Gumiho, there are not enough Zerglings present. He might just lose the expansion. The expansion of Gumiho is being attacked as well to the left of the map. A lot of Zerglings, and Gumiho rallied a few Marines over, but they're not in range. Finally, he realized that he already lost most of his SCVs and is going in with the Marines. And at the bottom right, we have the expansion being killed by Gumiho. Finally, he's trying to be a little bit more aggressive, and there's another drop headed for the natural expansion of Zenio. And oh my god, he's trying to kill the drop with the drones. This is not gonna work, Gretorp. There are just units everywhere. Finally, Gumiho is turning up the heat, dropping everywhere and doing so much damage with his drop play. I love it.
And you can see Zenio actually bring all of his units every single time this happens. He brings all of them at a time and tries to fend it off. That's not the most efficient way to actually do it. But when you're going Zerglings and Ultras, you need a ton of Spine Crawlers actually to keep up with this. It's not good to actually use your army to go and defend every single drop. So that's going to be priority number one for Zenio, to defend these expansions. We already see that this bottom middle one does, but Zenio, he might feel that his army composition is good enough and he's just going to go in. Gumiho is not in a position where he can actually deal with these Ultras. Ghosts are great at dealing with Ultras, but they need time, and when Zenio is already bearing down on this expansion, it's going to be very hard to get all those snipes out in time by the time the Ultralists by the time the Ultra is actually taking down that Planetary Fortress.
The Ultralists are retreating again. Another small run by to the base at the left side of the map, but the bunker is ready again, so this won't do anything at all. And you are so right, Gretorp. We have a couple of spine crawlers at the right side of the map for Zenio's expansion, but he neglected to build spine crawlers and spore crawlers at all his other bases, despite the fact that he had like 2,000, 3,000 minerals, so there was just no need not to invest into those couple of spine crawlers in order to make sure that the drops won't be as effective as they were. A little bit of a misstep by Zenio there, but he's still on 200 supply. He has all the tech that he needs, adding a second spire, rebuilding the Baneling Nest that was sniped, and he's now just going straight for some kind of Broodlord build, while we have the attack by Zenio. He's going in for the kill. All those snipes. Wow, this is exactly why Blizzard is nerfing the Ghosts. Look at how they are killing Blizzard. This is insane.
Oh man, that was so sick. You are a crazy man, Khaldor. Now the Marines are going to stutter step up here, and Zenio all of a sudden looks like he's in a lot of trouble. Doesn't have really the minerals or the gas to resupply. You can see a lot of Zerglings in queue. What he needs to do is actually get some infestors out here, fungal growth, and then supplement his Zerglings. Banelings are being morphed right here, and you can see this third base is actually being taken out. In the meantime, there's another drop in the bottom right-hand position, and a Zergling run by yet again in the mid left. There are just attacks going on everywhere, but the bottom right will be denied. And it looks like Gumiho will back up. He doesn't have a heavy siege tank count, so that can empower, in fact, like a Zergling Roach Baneling composition.
I have to say, if Gumiho would have had more medivacs with his army, I feel like Zenyo could have lost the game right there. Because the only reason why Gumiho backed off is because all of his Marines are already down to the orange, so he had a very, very weak army. He knew it. All the medivacs were already out of energy, and that's why he backed up. Here's another bunch of Ultralists, and they just can't hold a candle to the Marines and the Ghosts. But maybe, yes, maybe those Banelings from the back. Nah, he killed a lot, but not enough. And even though Zenyo at some point in this game was ahead with 70 supply, he is now dropping in supply. Gumiho is taking the lead, and this just very, very patient play pays off. At the bottom right, we have once again the drop taking down the base for Zenyo. And Zenyo is he's just losing more and more units and income by the second.
Yeah, you can see Zenyo just getting punished for having these open expansion, not having that static defense, which he needs so badly. Now finally the Marines are going to move into the natural. The Ghosts are slightly behind, but what can Zenyo actually do from here? Banelings are actually being morphed over here, and they're not able to come out in time, so that's going to hurt Zenyo quite a bit defending this drop. And all of a sudden, just this small pack, oh, nice snipes on all the Banelings over here, and the Ghosts were actually able to take out that force. Really nice play by Gumiho.
Look at the main base. He's losing all his tech. He's losing every single tech building. He's losing the macro hatches at that. This is just brutal. A bunch of Banelings finally connecting with the Marines, but there's already the second force. The Greater Spire is about to die. And we mentioned in the earlier stages of the game, Gretorp, that there are just so many barracks. He's focusing really a lot on his bio. He's not building too many tanks. And then Zenyo never had the infestor count that he needs in order to deal with such a bio-heavy force.
And you could say Ghosts counter everything, but Ghosts, going this many Ghosts, if we look at it, let's go ahead and look at the units, have 10 Ghosts. That's a lot of siege tanks right there. That's the opportunity cost that you're actually losing there, because Zerg can obviously take advantage of that by going just a very heavy Zergling Roach army. Now we can
another attack.
Oh my god, he's relentless.
Yeah, everywhere. He's everywhere, and he doesn't give Zenyo a second to breathe. Another base dead for Zenyo, and while he loses this base, there is another drop with Ghosts going on, and he's just sniping all the drones. He's sniping every single one of them, and this is horrible for Zenyo. He's not able to catch breath everywhere. There's Gumiho's drops, Gumiho's main force, and then he's expanding. I have to say, Gumiho is just completely merciless right now.
Yeah, and he's outplaying his opponent at this point. The constant drops are just too much for Zenyo. Zenyo is being picked apart, even though he was so far ahead into that end game. You can see this base at the 12 o'clock position now mining in full force. You also have this planetary fortress that's almost mined out. So Zenyo isn't completely out of it, but he is pretty far behind. You can see the supplies 177 to 87. Well, maybe he is completely out of it. This is not looking good for him with almost 90 Marines out in the field. And there's only 27 Zerglings and 10 Banelings to Zenyo's name. That is not a position that you ever want to be in.
No, it definitely is not. He needs infestors. That's the one thing that he neglected in the earlier stages of the game. And I feel like Zenyo thought he already had this game won, and so did I, by the way. I really thought Gumiho would not be able to get back into this game, but now he is doubling the supply of his opponent. Once again, a double drop, a triple drop to the bottom base, and this time it probably won't do any damage as there are already Corruptors, Banelings, and Zerglings. Finally, Zenyo is able to deal with this, and he's killing a lot. He's taking down the medivacs as well, but I'm not quite sure if it's really going to matter. There are more and more command centers being built for Gumiho now, who wants to get access to additional orbitals, to additional mules. He's still on 2 mining bases, while Zenyo is just so far behind that I am not quite sure what he can do to get back into this game.
Yeah, both players, I think Gumiho is just unaware of his opponent and where he actually stands. He thinks probably Zenyo is a lot farther ahead along in his development, and especially his unit composition. He's expecting probably something like infestors and things like that. But Gumiho could be pushing in right now for the win. He's just not, because he's so scared. This is not a standard game by any means.
Yeah.
I should say a standard position, more so.
That was a really funny thing. We have a drop in the main base, in the former main base of Zenyo, and Gumiho dropped his units, and then he stimmed in and killed an extractor because it was the only thing that was left. He definitely expected to be at least to be some kind of base something for his opponent, but well, the extractor was the only building left, and he seemed to be a little bit surprised. And so is Zenyo, as another huge 3/3 upgraded Marine force is killing one of his expansions once again. His units are scattered across the map. Zenyo is just in a desperate attempt to get his army count up again. He's still 70 supply behind, and wow, just look at Gumiho. He can do whatever he wants, and he's getting more expansion. He's getting farther ahead in his game. He has a beautiful army, and I feel really a little bit sorry for Zenyo, who played so well in the early stages of the game, but then suddenly just the tides turned and Gumiho was able to get the lead.
Zenyo has a ton of income, actually, or not income, but minerals, or gas rather. He can definitely spend, what is that, like 17 infestors right there, 18 infestors at this point, and that'll be very good. Maybe it's a way to actually get back into this. You can see the ghost count has not been increased. We have units that have 12 ghosts out in the field. It's the same ghost that we saw time and time again. So maybe if he gets like money fungal growths, he'll be in a great position. I'm not sure what else he can actually do from here. What is he actually going to save up for? He's going to hive tech, so maybe something like ultras, but I'm really unsure of it. I would love just a couple of infestors to deal with these drops a little bit more efficient. And also, we know that infestors are definitely a way that to get back into the game when you're so far behind.
Yes, indeed they are. We had another quick drop at the bottom right. It didn't do any damage at all. This time Zenyo was on top of his game and pulled all his drones back. But this is just a game that is not usual, as you already mentioned. It's just so much action everywhere. And Zenyo is now rebuilding the Ultralisk Cavern. I really don't think that's a good choice. I don't think that Ultralisk is a good choice in general. There are a couple of maps where you can use them, but he failed so hard with his Ultralisks because of the huge ghost count, and I don't think that anything has changed. He needs to get infestors, trying to split them to get enough energy to dodge the EMPs and the snipes, and then just use the fungals. And here come the Banelings and the Zerglings and retreat once again. They don't want to fight in the bottleneck position, but yeah, Gretorp, I think that Ultralisks are the worst decision he can go for now.
Well, based on what Gumiho is going right now, yes, I don't fully agree with the that army composition, but please, Zerglings, go and attack those ghosts. Do they actually have cloak? No, they don't. So.
Oh, at the top of the map, we have the expansion under pressure. There are the Zerglings for Zenyo. He's taking down the tanks, he's taking down the SCVs, and he's finally able to deal some pressure on his own. He's doing really good, taking down this expansion, and more Zerglings now headed for the main army of his opponent. The Ghost a little bit out of position, only the tanks in the back, but he realizes it splits them, and now, well, there's another small force sent out to take down the Hive, and the Hive is going to die. Gumiho is trying to finish it now.
Gonna be tough. He's just waiting for those ultras to pop, and then he's gonna go from a lot of sides. You can see a Zergling counterattack going at the main, but that's gonna be Zenyo's cue. He's gonna want to push out as soon as those ultras are done, and they are, so they're gonna lead the way first. And here come the Zerglings, and let's see if the Banelings can actually connect, Khaldor.
I'm not quite sure. There are all those ghosts, and I think he will try to snipe the Banelings. He already sniped a bunch of the Ultralisks, but Gumiho is losing a lot of supply, but not enough. Zenyo is losing way too many forces. The ghosts are the only thing left, but there are Marines as well, and having the income, the better income, 3,000 minerals bumped up. We have Gumiho just producing an endless stream of Marines, and this should be enough to finally take Zenyo down.
Well, you know, it's kind of tough because look at the supplies, 70 to 120. Oh, no, I read that the wrong way. There's nothing much to that. I read it the wrong way. The ghosts are going to clean up those two Ultralisks as well. The power of the ghost with 45 damage.
From this point on, he doesn't even need gas anymore. He has 3,000 minerals still, and he can just keep producing Marines and attack with them. They are upgraded on 3-3, and there's already a huge army headed towards Zenyo's last remaining bases. The Zerg player for Team Liquid is down to 53 supply. We have Gumiho at 147, and, well, he doesn't have all that much income now, does he? At the bottom right, there's the only mining base for Zenyo, and it won't be enough.
This is Zenyo's last attack, I think, and he's going to realize what he's up against. and just call it GG. Comes out from Zenio, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. FXO will take game number 2 in what an exciting match. Khaldor, I'm going to need a second to actually think about this because this is a lot to actually take in. I'm trying to think of where Zenio actually went wrong in that particular position, but I have to say Gumiho played astounding.
Gumiho played really, really well, and he never gave up. He always tried to come back into this game. I think that the decision to go for the Ultralisk was probably not the best. I would have liked to see him go Broodlords after he already decided to get the Spire attack. Broodlords and more Infestors, in my opinion, would have been the key to this game, especially the Infestors. He needed better Fungals, and even against the Ghost of his opponent, there's always a chance that you are in for a that you can get this Fungal off where you hit all the Ghosts. That's the one thing that the channel player is afraid of. So going for only ground units without Infestor support, or with only like 2 Infestors supporting them, was in my opinion the wrong decision, especially given the fact that Gumiho played so bio-heavy. And yeah, I think he overstepped a little bit when he decided to go only for Ling, Baneling, and Ultralisks.
Yeah, this is the thing, okay? The Infestors do, to an extent, get countered by the Ghosts because of EMP, because of Snipe, but they are required because if you can get any Fungals off, it empowers your Zerglings and Banelings quite a bit because the Marines aren't just going everywhere. Yeah. On top of that, I feel like the Ultralisk use was a little bit off. See, Ultralisks have to be used either you push or you get the hell out of there. You don't make them at all, because if you give the Terran time to position and and you have that stagnant position between both of you, they're gonna snipe all your ultras down if they're given enough time, that is. And obviously this whole time Gumiho was in positions where he could snipe and he could do a lot of damage to them. But if the ultras are just going all towards the main or all towards the natural, wherever it's going to go, it becomes a lot harder because you have to micro the Marines, you have to make sure they're back enough, and then the Ghosts actually can snipe out stuff. There's a lot of things to actually take into consideration. Terrans normally can't do all of that at once, so I think stressing that would have been a better way to use the Ultras than, what Zenio liked to do was that multi-pronged hit where he went to the mid-left and then he attacked that third base right near the expansion between them. I would love to actually go through that again. There's so much that went on in that game. The drops were just relentless. Zenio was playing like a beast, taking so many more expansions than his opponent, but and in the end Gumiho only had like 1.5 mining bases and he was able to pull through for the win.
The thing that really impressed me about Gumiho is that in the earlier game he made a few mistakes, in my opinion. He didn't play all that well, and then he suddenly just changed his style completely. From one moment to another, there were just drops everywhere. Drops and small attacks everywhere. He dropped the bottom right, he dropped in the main base at the natural, and he attacked with his main army in the middle. And Zenio, he just couldn't handle it. Suddenly there was this pressure going on everywhere on the map, and Zenio tried to defend against it, but every time he was able to shut down one of the drops, there was another one occurring at the same time. So Gumiho with a very, very nice play. I really loved the mid game in this particular match. That was really, really great to watch, and it was so entertaining, but there was so much stuff going on. It was incredible.
Yeah, I agree. And I've been a huge proponent of Zergling Roach Banelings, a switch over back to that basic composition, because Ghosts are such a hard counter, I think, or a pretty good counter to all those high tech play, and obviously the Infestors as well. They can deal with them pretty effectively. So if he switches over to Zergling Roach Baneling, I think he would have been able to deal with that a lot better, especially with the amount of Ghosts he got. He got upwards around 20 Ghosts. If you think about that, that's what 13 siege tanks that you're looking at right there with those 20 Ghosts. That's quite severe. So maybe if he did something like that, I think it would require a lot of testing. Obviously, we didn't get to see that this game around, but great play by both these players, and we're going to call it for Gumiho, so congratulations to him. We're going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with game number 3, so don't go anywhere. Team Liquid against FXO, game number 3 coming your way.